Hello, Eric here, welcome back to the channel. This is Horus Works, and today I'm back with a little Alfa GT because can you hear that? Did you hear that whining noise? The spaceship sounding whining noise that comes from the back? It's your wheel bearings. The pitch of the noise goes up and down as the speed increases and decreases, and it completely stops, like now, when you're at a standstill. It's your rear wheel bearings. And today, I'm gonna fix that at home here in my own garage. And I'm gonna show you the steps involved so that if you've got this problem, hopefully you can follow along. Now, all you're going to need is a couple of new wheel bearings, and I've got to give a massive shout out to Alfa Shop, who have been really helpful. I live in Australia, which is not close to anything, and these guys are in the UK, and they've sent me the new wheel bearings in 4 days, which is crazy. I couldn't even get them locally that quickly, or to be honest, that cheap. They don't sponsor me, this is not an ad. They were just really helpful, and I'm very impressed with their speed of delivery and their service. Get yourself some gloves because you're going to get dirty. I do sell these, by the way, so if you want to support this channel, this is how you can do it. Pick up some tools. I'm not going to sell you merch or t-shirts or anything useless like that, but you can get yourself or gloves or some tools that you can also use in your garage on your projects. So check them out, they go a long way to helping this channel. Alright, enough with the sales pitch, let's go have some fun.
Okay, the tools you're going to need are a jack and some jack stands, a torque wrench, find yourself a big one, a pry bar or a ratchet gun, a hammer, a 19mm and a 15mm spanner. You'll need a 32mm, a 19mm, a 17mm, a 15mm and a 12mm socket. You'll need some socket extensions, a chisel or a punch. You'll need a torch, a wire brush just to clean things up, some safety gloves, make them cut proof like this so that you don't cut up your hands, and a tape measure.
The first thing I'll point out is this hub nut cover is absolutely mangled. Look at the state of corrosion on this thing. That's just not going to do. I'm going to order some new ones of this very soon. Also, I'm going to chock up the other rear wheel like that, and then I'm going to release the handbrake because I'm going to need to remove this caliper. Clearly that's no longer round anymore. It's got a little bit of a wobble in it. So at some point I'll get these discs changed and get some pads changed as well. So watch out for that video in the future. But for now, the next thing we're going to do is get these calipers removed. So to get this caliper off, what you're going to need to do is undo these two nuts over here. Now, the top one you'll have no problems with, but with the bottom, the long bolt that goes through here, starts here, and goes all the way through to the other side. So that's going to be in the way of your spanner. So what you're going to need to do to undo that bottom nut is undo this first, that one there. Get yourself a 19 spanner to hold on to this side, and then using a 19mm socket, just undo this nut. There we go. So all you're really trying to do here is get this control arm out of the way. So nut and washer off, out of the way, and just basically move this control arm out of the way enough so that your spanner, your 15mm spanner, fits in. So now I'm just going to undo the top one first. Okay, so bottom nut, and that's the top nut. So with those two nuts out of the way, this whole thing will just slide off like that. So just position it out of the way for now. So as you can see, got the carrier and the caliper off at the same time, just by undoing these two nuts. And I had to loosen this bottom control arm here just a little bit to give me some space over here. So now that that's all sitting loose there, I'm ready to take this off. Can you hear that? That's not very good. So this bolt holds the disc on, so we're just going to quickly undo that. That should be a 10mm, I think. No, I think it's a 12 actually. Yep, so 12mm for that. Alright, so there's your disc off. And what's left here is this bearing. Now as you can hear, mine's not very good. I'm going to take this cap off next, which is in horrible state. So I'm just going to have to order new hub nut caps. But right now I don't have those, so I'm just going to reuse them for the moment so I can put this car back together. But yeah, these are in poor state. So I'm going to use an old chisel, a hammer, to get these loose. There it is. So as you can see, these aren't looking amazing. In fact, look at that. It's like a sieve. So I will be replacing these very, very soon. But for now, let's get these off. So this over here is a 32mm nut. So just use either an extension bar or an impact wrench to get these off. There we go. So there's the nut, and here is the hub. So there it is, there's the hub. It looks like someone's already attempted at greasing this, but unfortunately it could not be saved. I mean, you heard the noises it was making, so this thing is pretty much shot. Now I'm just going to clean all the surfaces here as best I can, get all the old grease off, clean the ABS sensor as well, take the washer out of the old hub and just give it a clean. I've got to clean it a lot because someone's got a lot of grease on this. Comment below. Let me know if these should be greased. I don't think they should be. Alright, so that is ready to go back on. And here it is. Here's the new wheel bearing from SKF. Comes in a box like that. Also comes with a new hub nut. Take the plastic shield off. There's also a retaining ring in there, which I believe will slide out. So take that plastic part out and then simply slide on just slide on the new bearing like that. Make sure your bearing's in all the way, then put the washer back on and take the new hub nut and just turn it back on. Okay, that's bottomed out there. No more noises. No more terrible noises. So that's good. Now you do have to torque this down, and it's a lot. It's 300 to 330 Newton meters, or 30 to 33 decanewtons. That converts to about 300 Newton meters. I'm actually worried about snapping or breaking something, but that's what it's supposed to be, so I'm gonna give it a crack. I'm gonna break out the big boy over here, and I've just got a torque wrench big enough. It goes to 350. Hope I don't break anything. Ooh. I don't think I've ever torqued anything to 300 Newton meters, but I guess it makes sense. It is holding on the rear wheel, so it needs to be quite tight. All right, I'm gonna be your guinea pig. If I break it, don't do what I've just done. 300 Newton meters. I do believe this is the tightest I've ever set anything. Oh God, please don't kill me. Okay, 300 Newton meters. Now that was so much, I actually felt the car lift a little bit. So it is tight, it's very tight. Now, do you see this mark? What you've got to do is take a chisel and tap with the chisel, tap right there, like so. So that this is no longer round, it'll stop it from spinning off. Now the other thing I'm going to do just for safety is mark this with a pen. So I'm going to mark the nut, and I'm going to mark the thread as well. So that's in a line like that. And like I said, in a while I'm going to come back in here anyway to change these rear brakes. So I'm going to check to make sure that this is still in line. And if it is, I know that this isn't rotating, this hasn't moved. Just a little safety precaution. But with that on there, nice and tight, just check everything, make sure everything's looking good, which it is. Just gonna wipe this down real quick, like so. I'm going to put my absolutely mangled and disgusting hubcap back on, but I'm going to change this out ASAP basically. So I'm just gonna tap it on gently. Gonna tap it on ever so gently because, well, at this point it's made of paper. So line your hole up with the mounting hole over here. And this is just 10 Newton meters, or pretty much just zap it up. After, much better. Okay, so now that your disc is back on and your hubs are torqued down and intact, next thing to do is put this caliper back on. Now all you're going to need to do is feed these two 15mm bolts back in from behind. You are going to have to fight this shield, this disc shield a little bit, because these mount with the caliper. So just move these around a bit as you put this back on so that they line up, and then just feed in the two screws and tighten them back up. Okay, so once these two bolts are done up, you want to torque them down to 50 Newton meters. Right, so that's back on, that's torqued down, and so is the caliper. We just got to finish off by torquing down this bolt over here. So just gonna feed that arm back on, put the washer back on, and then the nut as well. So before I can do up this last nut, there's just one more thing you're going to need to do, and that is raise this hub a little bit. Now the reason you want to do that is because you've got some bushings here and on the other control arm there as well, over here and obviously down there and back there. So what's going to happen is if you tighten that bolt up right now, as those arms move, you've captivated the bushings, and as the car sits back on the ground, it'll twist and it'll hold in that twisted state. So basically you'll be driving around with all your bushings twisted, which means they'll wear prematurely. So what you need to do is raise this hub with a jack just a little bit, and I'll show you how much in a second, so that when you tighten up this nut over here, the bushings aren't twisted, so once you drop the car back to the ground. So let me show you what I mean. So the distance between here, between the bottom of this arm and the ground, and the distance between the bottom of this mounting bolt and the ground, the difference has to be 13 millimeters, and then you can tighten it up. So let's see what it is now. So at the moment, the distance here is 31, and the distance here is 24. So I've got a 70 mil difference. So this hub needs to come up quite a bit until the difference is 13 millimeters, 13 millimeters. All I'm gonna do is put a jack underneath here and raise this up. So that distance now is 27, so I'm 40 mil out, so I need to go up a little bit more. So the other side is 31 millimeters, which means this side needs to be about 29 and a half. 27 and a half now, so 20 more mil. $28 and a half. There we go. So that's 29, just a little bit more. All right, so that's good. So that is what you need to do. You need to raise this so that your bushings, when you tighten this nut, aren't twisted on the ground. 19 to hold it, and then a 19 mil socket to tighten it up. And once that's tight, you want to torque it down to 120 Newton meters. 120. There it goes, 120. So that's kind of it. That's been tightened and torqued down. So has that, so has this, and so has this bottom bolt. Time to put the wheels back on. Much better. Okay, and now that that's done, it's time to flip her around and do the other side. And by the way, if you like what you're seeing so far, make sure you hit the like button and subscribe. It really helps me out. Wheels off. Calipers off. Can you hear that? Can you hear it? Neither can I. The noises are gone. So that's it. That's how you change the rear wheel bearings on an Alfa Romeo GT. That wasn't too hard, was it? It'll actually take you about an hour or two max. Just get all your tools ready and you should be good to go. Now, if you liked what I showed you in this video, then make sure you click the like button. It really helps me out. Also, subscribe if you want to see more content like this, where you can do projects at home in your garage like I have. Then hit that subscribe button and comment below. Let me know what you thought of this, if you would do anything differently, and also tell me about the front wheel bearings. They don't make any noise for me at the moment, but I guess at some point they will need changing, and when they do, I want to be as ready as possible. So if you've got any tips or tricks on changing the fronts, by all means let me know in the comments. Now, don't go anywhere. Check out the video I made about owning an Alfa Romeo GT. All the little tips and tricks that I got from the expert mechanics and previous owners, I've compiled into a video, and you can check that out over there. Also, if you want to see more about this project car, then check out that video. And of course, don't forget to subscribe. Alright, that's enough from me. This has been my video about changing the rear wheel hubs. I hope it's helpful, and I'll catch you next time.